Are we ready? Okay, so let's go to working with buyers. And I'm going to ask Susan a question. Why do we work with buyers when you're a brand new agent? Because they will be our
best friends.
No, for the future.
Future, yeah.
What did you say, Felipe?
Future listing?
Thank you. Yes. So working with buyers, I know it's a lot of work. Sometimes you have to drive quite a few places. But if you treat them well and you do a good job, they will be your future listings, and hopefully they will also give you referrals. So just always think, every time you do a deal, every time you talk to a person, it's future business that you're trying to prepare yourself for. And you should always get at least one referral from every deal that you do. Okay, and even if the referral is not right away, maybe it's for the future, but if you got one referral for every deal that you did. Does anybody remember the Paul Mitchell commercial where they said, and he tells one friend and she tells one friend, and all of a sudden it's an exponential thing where you get a lot of business? That's what this business is all about, is just keep on trying to make more and more contacts. Okay, so buyer's questionnaire. This is a little thing, and I know that most of you have seen some scripts that we use, but if you have this handy, how can you find a buyer? Give me all the ways you can find a buyer. Referrals from loan officers, okay.
You attend social events.
Social events. Felipe?
Buyers, anywhere pretty much. They
Okay.
pop up anywhere.
Okay, so you can,
Open
if you
houses is a better
open
way.
houses, sign calls, family, friends, referrals, all that stuff. So obviously, if you are going to communicate with buyers, you need to get some information. Make sure you call them the right name. Like, don't call them John if their name is Mark, because you can't remember their name. So you have to have little systems to remember people's names, because the more you remember about them, the better you're going to be. You need to build rapport. Michael is so fantastic at it. I bet you he can go to an open house and he'll go, oh yeah, I remember seeing you at an open house, 3 years ago, and this is the address of the property where I met you. Having a good memory is really, I know you can't, you have to try and improve your memory. Memory exercises or skills would be really good. So you need to make sure that you have buyer's name, address, cell phone, email, and if you look, it says best time to call. You think that's an important question?
Yes.
Yeah, some people aren't available in the evenings, or they have so much family stuff going on. Some people sleep in the evenings because they are home during the day. You don't know what people's work schedules are, so you should always try and ask that question to get a little bit more detail of their lifestyle. Why would you want their address if they're a buyer?
So you can sell them. I mean, so you can send them information, pamphlets, or listings.
Okay, so I'm going to give you some tips. When I first got into the business, I had this little old lady who was 75 years old that worked in the office that I worked in, and she was a funny little old lady, didn't have much money, but she worked really hard. And she told me a story once, and she said, I showed these people the perfect house and they didn't make an offer on it. And she couldn't understand why. She goes, it was clean, it was pristine, it was perfect. It had everything that they wanted, the right price. And she just couldn't understand why they wouldn't make an offer. So she went over to their house. And then she looked around and went, oh wow, the place was a pigsty. Total mess, upside down, just horrible. She then sold them a house that was a total mess, pigsty, because these people couldn't visualize themselves living into a nice, clean, pristine house. Now remember, this is over 40 years ago when I first got into the business, and it holds true today. Get people's address. You need to do pop-bys. You need to see where they live. You need to see how they live. For the most part, I would say in my experience, people tend to move from maybe a little house, but they'll buy a big house that sort of looks like their little house, okay? They don't deviate because they have a certain taste or a style. So the more you know about your buyer, the easier it is going to be for you to sell them something. So if you go in their house and it's messy, maybe they don't want to see the turnkey house. Who knows? All right, maybe you'll be better off selling them a fixer-upper. But you need to know your buyer. So Go to their house, look at where they live. So questions to ask them: how long have you been looking? Are you working with another agent or broker? Any thoughts on that particular line? Anybody want to say anything? Mazen?
Yeah, it's important because that lets you know where you stand in the relationship, that you are competing essentially with another broker. There's no loyalty on their end.
And didn't you have a buyer who was looking at multiple agents recently?
She was with 4 different agents. And I'm like, she goes, so whoever gives me the house I like, that's the one who gets the mission. I'm like, okay.
So your time is money, okay? If they are looking with 4 other agents and all 4 of you show the same house, who is she going to buy that house from? We don't know. So when you're talking to somebody, and you need to be able to incorporate this question without being it as soon as you meet with them. Hi, my name's Marie. So are you working with another agent? That is not how it's going to come off, okay? But you're going to have to talk to them and say, so how long have you been looking? And have you seen anything that you like? That's always a good question. A lot of times they've seen stuff that they like, but nobody's asked them, would you like to make an offer? Okay, so you guys need to understand the questions to ask these buyers. How many in your family? Do you own now or are you renting? Because if they own now, they may have to sell their house. Most people are going to tell you, oh, we want to keep our house for a rental. Well, right now, you take them to a lender, get them pre-approved, because you don't know if they could qualify for keeping their house as a rental and purchasing another. So that could give you a good in on getting a listing. And sometimes, I think there's some articles, I think you could probably look on Google, you know, the pros and cons. Maybe these people aren't really going to be good landlords, okay? And that would not be a good option for them. So you might have to wait a while, but you might eventually at the end sort of convince them that maybe they should sell that home. Must you sell before buying? Because what if they don't have a down payment? So you need to get all this information. I guess I was ahead of myself. Number 6, have you seen any homes that you really liked? If yes, why didn't you buy it? Okay, so one of the scenarios could be, yeah, I saw this house I really liked, but it was out of my price range. Oh, but did you know that it just got reduced? Now it's in your price range, so let's make an offer. Okay? You guys have to ask those prying questions to see why they didn't make an offer. What special requirements? Pool, family room, number of bedrooms, bathrooms. And then you're going to ask them the need summary. Down payment, how much do they have to work with? So a couple of different ways you can say, so how much money do you have to invest in a new home? You might not want to say, so exactly how much money do you have in the bank? You don't say those kind of things. But you need to find methods of asking questions that get you the answers that you want without sounding like you're prying into their financial background. Bedrooms and baths. So I don't know if it's somewhere else in this brochure, but one thing that I've always learned is you have needs and you have wants. Oh, I want a house on a big lot. Well, what's big to you may not be, well, you may think something is big if it's 12,000 square feet, and they may think something is big if it's only 7,000 square feet. So you need to know what their perspective is. And I need a fireplace. Really? You need a fireplace in Southern California? You want a fireplace. My experience has told me when people go, oh, and I want this, 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 and this, and then they'll go, oh, we found a house, and you're like, but I didn't show you that house because it had none of the things on your list, correct? Because there was something else about the house that they really liked more than the list that they gave you. So make sure if it's a need or a want. I think that's really important to see. And you have to go out and show them houses, right? Otherwise, Susan, how do you know what they like?
True.
So if you show them one house and they go, you have to ask for feedback. What did you like about this house? What did you hate about this house? Maybe they'll say the neighborhood. Oh, that living room's way too small. I don't like the backyard. I don't like the corner. Then you're going to know. Don't show them corner houses in the future. So you need to take notes when you're showing buyers. The next page, buyer commitment to the realtor. I'm sorry?
Real quick,
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
No, just with respect to a point that you made last week, and I guess we can do it.
No, go right ahead.
Yeah, but just a point that you said that always ask your buyers if they're pre-qualified.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see that question. I don't know if that's appropriate.
Well,
but just
I
bluntly
think,
asked.
yeah, I would probably, well, there's some of these that have to be changed on this particular handout. Yes. The first thing, well, I guess when you're asking about your down payment, your price range, so this is how I usually take it. So I say, so what price range are you looking in? Some people will say, oh, 500,000. Have you been pre-approved yet? No, but I can afford 500,000. Well, how do you know? They don't know. So then you have to take them to the next step to get pre-approved. Thank you, Mazen. But when you're talking to them about their down payment, sometimes I said, so what is the monthly payment that you'd like to be at? And that gives you an idea. Because if they're unrealistic and they go, oh yeah, I want my monthly payment to be $1,500 a month. You're like, really? You can't rent anything for $1,500. I'm sure you're not going to be able to buy. Or you must have at least $1 million down payment, right? So you have to talk to them and find out where they stand. And if they say $1,500, you don't have a buyer, okay? I don't think there's, even if interest rate was 0, that's impossible, okay? But yes, you need to ask all those questions. You need to set up the appointments. If they're not pre-approved, do not take them out in your car until you get them approved. Because I always say, well, before I start sending you properties via email, I'd like to know what price range you're comfortable in, and then send you only properties that you can actually qualify for. So if I sent you all the properties in Downey and you're falling in love with all the $1 million houses, but you can only afford a $400,000 house, we have a big problem there. Don't set yourself up for failure or them up for failure. So find out what they really could afford. Yes?
I can just say one other thing, although it's not part of the questionnaire. Normally when I'm dealing with the buyers, I try to find out who my buyer is, and I try to find out who the real buyer is, because I've had on 2 occasions, Mohammed had a client where he's like, oh no, he goes, this is what I want. I said, well, what about your wife? Oh, don't even worry about her. He goes, she'll just go along with anything I say. As soon as he got on the phone with his wife was like, I don't like it. He's like, well, honey, well, if you don't like it, I don't like it either. I'm like, wait, you didn't just tell me that just 5 minutes ago when I talked to you. And then I just had another recent situation where this client, we opened up escrow, he liked the property. This is Jesse.
I remember.
Yeah, and then his wife gets on the phone and she starts yelling at me. She's like, he's not interested in this property. I want to be a part of this because I don't know what you're telling him and all that, because he doesn't want this. I was like, so it just reinforced for me, there was the buyer, then there's the real buyer. And then after he said he wanted the property, we opened up escrow. He told her, I was at a coffee shop, Starbucks with him, and he's like, well, honey, if you don't like it, he goes, I don't want to go through with it. I'm like, okay, buyer, real buyer, the wife.
But that's true for everything. You need to know who you're talking to. So how about another example? Yeah, me and my wife want to buy this house. Really? So do you have a down payment? Oh, no, my father-in-law's giving us the down payment. Okay, that's great. So do you want your father-in-law to see it? Oh, no, because, he doesn't need to see it. Whatever we like, he's going to give us the down payment. You find the perfect house for them. They're all goo-goo gaga. I love this house. I want to buy it. And the father-in-law comes in and he goes, I'm not giving you the down payment for this house. This house is horrible. Because he hasn't seen 20 other houses that the kids have seen already. So you're right, Mazen. You have to find out, if not who the real buyer is or the decision maker or who wears the pants in the family, if someone else is going to help with the financing, you have to make them a part of your showing process, because they can, after all that hard work, they can put the kibosh on the whole thing and then you have nothing. So, and this goes true for sellers. Make sure if you're talking to a seller that you're talking to the real decision maker and the person who's on title. And if you have to look at their driver's license, that's not a bad idea. So, but qualifying questions always, as many questions as you can ask and find out, and make notes to yourself, because I'm going to tell you, you'll mix up your buyers and who wants what and who needs what. Buyer's commitment to the realtor. A buyer should openly communicate their wants and needs. They're only going to do that is if they build a good rapport with you and if they trust you. So if you don't build good rapport, they're not going to tell you anything, or they're going to give you half answers, and you're never going to make a sale because, whoops, my goodness. Make other agents aware that they are represented by an agent. Remember, this is how agents make their living, but only when they buy through us. Okay, so there are buyer-broker agreements. I think, Mazen, you tried to implement 1 or 2, and I think in our area it's not the standard. So a buyer broker agreement says that your buyer is going to sign an agreement with you, and if you don't get paid 3% from the seller, the buyer will pay you the 3%. No buyer has the extra money to do that. That's probably why they don't work in our area, okay? Some people have used them and they're really good with them, but you need to build that rapport, you need to build the trust, and you need to tell them all the things to make sure that they're going to use you. So when we went on preview the other day, remember how the lady at KB said you need to register your buyer with KB, right? It's the same thing. You need to make sure that your buyer is going to use you solely. So it says call if you need to cancel an appointment, be considerate, call to follow up on any homes that you want to see. If it's listed by another agent company, by owner, advertised in the paper, we can still represent you on all of these. So you need to have an open discussion. There's a red carpet listing, and your buyer may think in his mind, oh, well, Marie works for 24 hour. She can't show me that one. So they go and call the agent at red carpet. You need to educate them. This is all about educating. So you need to say, you know what? I'm going to be sending you listings. Don't worry. If there's any house that you see, I can call the agent. Don't have them call the agent. Tell them, call me and I will do all the work for you. That's what I'm getting paid for. Make them know that you have a job to do, and your job when you get paid is to do all the work for them. You don't want them out on their own doing stuff, okay? Showing property. Again, we're going to go back. Reinforce that you can show any available listing. In the old days, we actually put the clients in our car and drove them around to see houses, but I have to say nowadays with all the car seats and all that good stuff, my buyers like to drive me to Beaumont with their screaming kids for 2 hours in their car with the car seats and the Cheerios going all over. Or you could drive your own car and follow them, but whatever. If you're in the car with them, it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. Do you ever put people in your car, Mazen?
Yes. Once.
Once. So, what happens when they're in the car with you?
They're talkative.
Are you asking them questions?
When I'm driving. Yes, I have. Yeah.
But you have conversation with them.
I do.
And don't you feel like you find a lot more out when you're in a closed, confined car?
True.
You don't have the radio going, and you have to start conversations with them, and you start asking them questions, and then, hey, so this is the list of houses we're going to see, and you always bring the list with you, and I make them do the navigation system in my car. Can you just plug that in, please? Because I'm driving, you have to engage them. It's a team sport. This is not tennis, okay? So let them be part of it when you're showing houses. Be flexible. Let's put it this way. The customer's always right. So when the customer wants to see the house at 6:30 at night, you make yourself available, okay? There's just no two ways about it. You can't, oh, well, I just can't go right now. It's not convenient for me. Well, it's not about you. It's about them. They're the boss. Meeting the prospective buyers. Now, this is more about safety. Meet at the office. So if you meet a buyer someone you've never met before, okay, so Martha, Susan, you're a woman. There's a vacant house, and some weirdo calls you up and says, I'd like to see this house. And Susan knows it's vacant. Mm-hmm. Are you going to run over there by yourself?
I have.
I know you have. So have I. But it's not a safe thing. So I'll give you, this is a funny story. I had a house for lease, and it was a huge house. And some guy called me, and he sounded a little scary to me. I'd like to see this house right now. And I'm like, Carmen, will you come with me? And she goes, sure. So I have never met this man, and that's why we say meet at the office, drive to the property together in the same car, wherever possible. Use travel time to learn more about the buyers, prepare them for the next showing. Well, so I drive over there and meet this guy, and he doesn't look as scary in person as he sounded on the phone. And he had his wife with him, and he was an older man. He didn't sound older on the phone, but so I was like, oh, this is cool. So I go to meet him, and I'm shaking. I'm happy because I'm thinking, now I'm not scared, right? So Carmen's behind me, and she is up my butt. I'm like, get away, Carmen. Like, what are you doing? So she's following me around the house, and she's right behind me, and she's got her phone, and she's like this, and I'm showing him the house and being all happy, right, thinking he's going to want to lease it. And when we left the house, and he never did anything anyway, but I said, Carmen, why were you so close to me? And she says, you never know about the wife. She could have been the murderer.
Oh my God.
They could have been on it together, right?
Okay, it's a funny story. I had never thought about it, but yes, if you're a woman and you're going to, there's been plenty of murders around, so you should meet a stranger at the office, and you can use that time and go, hey, I'd like to give you a buyer's booklet and go over the properties. What I usually did was, let's meet at the office. I'm going to go over all the properties we're going to see. That gave me some time to build rapport, get to know them. And if you really feel uncomfortable, you don't have to go, or you tell someone at the office to go with you, and we will. Okay? So point out, that's supposed to be out, neighborhood features that are important to the buyers. Give the buyer an information folder, flyer, paper, and pen for taking notes. Showing the property. So we do have some etiquette. When you're showing a property, you should always have a business card on you. Whether there's an agent, or whether it's a vacant house, whether there's a seller there, you need to give them your business card and identify yourself. I made an appointment with you earlier today. Here's my card. I'd like to see the house. Some people won't even let you in, even if you did make an appointment. So you need to be able to do all that. Knock, ring the doorbell, wait before opening the door. Say hello before entering. If the sellers are home, introduce your buyers to them. Ask the sellers where they will be in case they are needed. Accompany the buyers through the home. If it's a vacant house and you get there first, turn the lights on ahead of time, even if the sun is out. Allow the buyers to discover the home. Knock on bedroom or bathroom doors before entering if the home is occupied. And point out only the features that are not obvious. So, in 40 years, you run across a lot of weird stuff. So, just to make this a little entertaining, my little old lady friend who was 75 was showing a house. She opened the door, and there was an old man sitting in the rocking chair. So she walked in, and she tiptoed with her buyers, and she told her buyers, shh. They walked by, didn't want to wake the old man, showed the whole house, went out the door, left, and then she got a call. Did you show the house? Yes, I did. I left my card. Did you know the guy was dead in the rocking chair? Oh, yes. So, you don't know what you're going to find. On another occasion, we went to a broker preview and opened the door of a bedroom, and there were two people going at it, and it was another time people have walked in on people in the shower. So, please knock. Be courteous. I mean, some people don't care if they get found in a compromising position, but yeah, just you never know what you will find. Real estate's lots of fun when you look back at all your experiences. Point out the features that are not obvious. Okay, we don't have to say, and this is the living room, and this is the dining room. I think people know what a living room and dining room, or this is the kitchen, this is the bathroom. We don't have to say anything like that. Let them just follow your buyers through the house. Let them sort of explore and see. Now, if there's a room and they're going to go, what's this room? Then you can tell them what you think this room is used for. We went on that one on Offley, right, Martha? Right. And the agent was telling us, and this room could be your fourth bonus room or den or whatever. So, if you see a room that's sort of like questionable, you don't know, you need to have ideas. And you need to furnish the house for them. They look in the room and it's vacant and they're like, where do I put the TV? I guess you can mount it from the ceiling. Have some ideas of where you could put some furniture, because a lot of people they're very visual, and unless they see it furnished, they have no idea how to put a couch in a room or a table or anything. And you will find that once you sell a house and you go back and visit people, except for your mom, people will have the furniture in the exact same place as the previous owner did. So, they're not creative enough unless there's some sort of interior decorator. So, you need to help them out visualizing stuff sometimes.
So as far as the furniture, like you said, furnish it? I mean, how do you do that? I mean,
Well, I always,
rent furniture?
oh, you're talking about a vacant house?
Yeah.
Well, if it's vacant, you just need to say, well, you could put your couch there, and I would put 2 chairs
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Just point out the obvious.
Just point out, okay.
Sometimes if they see it vacant, it just looks like a square room, and they're just like,
Yeah. Just empty space. Right?
yeah, they don't know how to do
They
stuff.
can't visualize what.
And then there's other people who go, oh, I'm going to put like a circular couch,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
but you need to help them out sometimes.
Okay.
Preparing to meet the prospective buyers. Review property information. Review buyer data sheet and pre-approval worksheet. Review pertinent financial information. Select properties from the MLS. Prepare a packet that includes property information, paper, and pen for note-taking. Make showing arrangements. Obtain keys or lockbox combination where needed. Schedule approximate appointment times with sellers or other agents. Plan appointments to allow enough time between properties. Also give sellers a window like, I will show the home between 12:30 and 1. Plan the drive. Okay. So your buyers, if they see more than 3 houses in a day, they are going to be confused. I want the house that had the big lot and the big living room and the brown bathroom. Those were 3 different houses, but they got them all confused. So make sure you take a multiple listing printout or a flyer. You can prepare them. There's client copies on the MLS. Always bring a pen, pad of paper, or something for them to take notes. Or they can just take notes on the MLS sheet and just, I hate this. And I always encourage them. If you don't like it, and I'll just take the paper and I'll just go, oh, you don't like that one? And I'll throw it in the bottom of my car. And then they're just looking. But you know what? It helps me too, because guess what? Now I'm going to get confused on which one they liked. But crumple up the paper, like, it's okay. Or put a big X. But you have to do something, otherwise they will get confused. When you are showing houses, a couple of years ago we had only REOs, so everything was vacant, and agents were very disrespectful of bank-owned properties. Because bank owns them, so what? I don't have to leave a card. There's a combo lockbox. They didn't care if they took the key. They were not courteous agents. It flows over, so when the market changes, now people are actually living in their houses, so you have to be twice as courteous. A vacant house is easy because you know what? Nobody's going to be there. You've got a lockbox. You can let yourself in. Who cares? But when people live there, you have to make sure that the owners, okay, first of all, we are all sub-agents of the listing agent, okay? I don't care if Red Carpet has the listing. I'm showing the house. I'm getting paid a commission. I am a sub-agent of the Red Carpet agent. And I need to respect that seller and their personal property and their possession. So number 1 thing, you leave a card. Number 2 thing, you leave the house in the exact same condition as when you found it. So if you turned on all the lights so your buyers could see the house, turn them off before you leave. If you open the drapes, shut the drapes again exactly as you found them. If they were only open this much, you close them only this much. Guys have a harder time with this than women, but it's really important. Don't leave your trash in the house. Don't change or move anything, because the best compliment you could have is that, I didn't know you showed the house except that I saw your card. The worst compliment, or the worst thing that you could get is, somebody came in my house and they didn't leave a card, okay, and they touched all my stuff.
Or if somebody uses your best job.
Yeah, oh, that is like, hey, I'm sorry. Let's just be respectful. I know you may have to go, but really, this is someone's home, and I'm sure they don't want a bunch of strangers doing their thing in the bathroom, okay?